In this video, we'll be replacing the rear driver's side brake hose, this 2005 Honda Element. We're going to remove the rear wheel. It's going to be a 19 millimeter. Go ahead and take off the lug nuts now. We're going to start back here on our brake hose. We're going to remove this 12 millimeter bolt holding this bracket in place. So now that we have our bolt out, we can take this bracket on our brake hose off of this bracket here on our backing plate or our hub. There we go. Sometimes it'll pop off. Sometimes you need a little pry tool to pop that off. Now that that's free in the center, we can go to either the front or the back. So now if we follow our brake hose up to the front of the vehicle, we'll see it comes to a bracket. We're going to have to undo the clip on the bracket and then undo this bolt here or this nut. This hard line goes to the front of the vehicle. You have to be very careful not to bend that bracket. At this point, you're going to put down some kind of drip or spill protection. You will have brake fluid coming out of these lines when you separate them. What we're going to do is loosen this nut up here with a 10 millimeter. And before we fully loosen that and take it off, we'll have to take this retaining clip right here out. So we'll get this started while it's held in place. And once you have that backed out, we can gently pull this backwards and up and out of the way. You want to be careful not to bend this line. But now we can move on to the clip holding this hose in this bracket. So what we're going to use to pull that clip forward is a hook tool. We're going to get behind, so the clip has two ears on it and they go around in a notch around the end here. We're going to use the hook tool and pull forward on one of those ears and the other just to work that clip out. Once you have a little gap here, you can get the hook tool inside here and pull it right out and off. And now what we have is our brake hose into this bracket, ready to come out by pushing to the rear. There you go. And this here is the notch where that bracket that we just took off goes into. So now at the back of our caliper, we have one bolt here holding in our brake line. It's going to be our banjo bolt. It's going to be a 12 millimeter. Now again, we have some spill protection or a drip mat down because there will be brake fluid in your caliper and residual in the line. So be prepared for a little bit of leakage. So your bolt here, your banjo bolt on your brake line, it's hard to see, but you have a crush washer, the brake line, and another crush washer here. So we're going to reassemble the new line the same way. I'm going to pull this bolt out. Pull our line off. Make sure we get that back washer if it remains on the vehicle. because we'll be replacing it with a new one. We can discard our line. Now we have our new line. We're going to feed the front half of the line just up and loosely into position. We'll take our banjo end and our new crush washers. We'll make sure that the surface where the crush washer is going to meet to is free and clear of any debris. We'll take one crush washer onto the banjo bolt, put the bolt through the end of the line, and one more crush washer on the back side of that bolt. And then we'll thread it into our caliper. Now you'll notice there are notches where the line will go. So make sure that aligns. And for right now, we're going to finger tighten this. We'll come in with our 12 mil, just give it an extra little snug, just to stop the fluid from leaking. We'll come back and torque everything down when we're done. So now up here, we're going to take our new line. You'll notice that the end of our line is round on one side and flat on the other. Flat side is going to be pointing outwards towards us. So what we're going to do is take that line, put it into the bracket with that flat piece pointing us, and this shoulder right here is going to go into the bracket. So I'm going to line that, push that into place. So now that you have your hose into the bracket, what we're going to do is take our clip, and it's going to be oriented just like this, but this way. So the curve is going to go out. I'm going to pull that hose into place. We're going to take our clip, slide it into the notch on the hose end, and push it to seat in. Now to push it to seat in, I'm just going to use a pair of long needle nose here. And we'll give it a little tap with the hammer. Give your hose a little wiggle. Make sure it doesn't rock in there. If it's rocking or moving in here, you know your clip's not in the right place. Once that's done, we can take our hard line. And you'll notice the hard line has a flare on it. We need that flare to sit flush up against the inside here. So we're going to take the hard line, put it in place, start to thread in this end here. What I like to do is give the hard line a little wiggle back and forth as you're tightening this down to try and get that end to sit nice and flush. Once you get to a point, you'll start to tighten it down with a wrench. Just make sure this line is as even and level as it can be. Once you're tightened down, we'll get some brake clean. We'll clean off the area and we'll keep an eye for leaks. So we'll let this dry up and we'll keep an eye for leaks. And then we'll come inside here and put our bracket back on. Now what we're going to do is take our line with our bracket here, and we're going to re-bolt it into this bracket. We're going to use our bolt, thread it in by hand to start. And tighten it down. Now on the top of the bracket, you will want to make sure that it fits into the cutout that it's designated for. Now our banjo bolt is going to be torqued down to 25 foot-pounds. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now you have to bleed your brakes. So we're going to come here to our brake bleeder. It's going to be a 10 millimeter. We're going to pump our brakes 3, 4, 5 times. If you're by yourself, go ahead and give it 3 or 4 solid pumps. Hold it all the way to the floor. It's going to be probably pretty easy to go to the floor with not much resistance. What you're trying to do is push the air out of the system. You want to come back here to your brake caliper and crack open your bleeder screw. What you're looking for is a clean flow of fluid coming out of your brake bleeder. No pops, no foam, no hesitations, no breaks in the line, just a clean stream of fluid. It may not be a strong stream, it might just come out and drip right down, but as long as there's no air in that line, you're good to close this back up. Then you want to go to the front of the vehicle and replace any brake fluid that you may have lost during this process. So we'll go ahead and open our bleeder. And you can see we've pumped our brakes. We have a little bit of fluid coming out. It doesn't look to be bubbling or foam. Doesn't look to be hesitating. All right, we've given it enough time. No breaks in the line. We'll go ahead and tighten this back up. And the last thing I like to do is hit this area with brake clean, dry it off, and keep an eye for leaks. Once you're done with that and you have no leaks, again, check your brake fluid level. If you need to add, go ahead and do that. So when I do a wheel, I like to put on top and bottom lug nut, rock back and forth, continue to tighten them down by hand. This just helps you get it nice and flat against the rotor. Give it a look, looks good. So we're going to snug these up in a crisscross pattern. And then we'll lower it down, put the tire on the ground, and torque them down. So now that we've lowered the vehicle down, our tire's on the ground, we're going to go ahead and torque down our lug nuts to 79 foot-pounds. We're going to do it in a crisscross pattern.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.